Let's do it.
And we are back. The Loyal Kinfolk Podcast, episode 2.
Look, yeah, you in the house of the field. It's a slave reference. We slave still. Grand scheme, it's a grand scheme. We ignorant, so we great slaves. And you know that we in some bad days when we thinking we winning because we could afford things.
Alright, so in this episode, we're going to be talking about how we TTL. And just to reiterate what TTL is, it stands for Tuesday Talks and Lunch. And it began as TTL because we would go out on Tuesdays and we would talk and have lunch with people in the community. So today we're going to talk about how we did that, you know, just the ins and outs of the people we meet, types of people we meet, how to approach people, and yeah, let's get into it. So the first time we did TTL, we went to McDonald's on Front Street in Financial District, San Francisco. And I walked up. Esperanza was running a little bit behind, so I was by myself at the time. And even before I walked into McDonald's, there was a group of people outside in the alleyway. And one woman specifically, I asked her, "Can I sit down? You know, have a conversation with you?" And she was willing to at least have me sit down. But when I started talking to her, she started getting a little bit irritated because when I told her, like, I'm just trying to be out in the community, you know, spread positivity and, you know, homelessness or mental health awareness or anything of that nature, that's when she kind of started getting angry because I guess from her experience, there's been a lot of people that have told her that never followed up or were doing it for the wrong reasons. So one of the things she said was, you know, there's people that come out here for school projects and they say they're out here to help when really they're just trying to get their grade for class and then that's it. And there was she even pointed me out and said, "I remember you from last week. You and 2 other guys were over here recording us and laughing at us." And I started getting a little defensive because I was like, that wasn't me. Like, this is my first time over here. Like, and I was just trying to reiterate my intentions and what I'm trying to do. And she just did not believe me, like, at all. I don't know, what was your experience with her and the other people that day?
That we experienced that day. So I would say that it was one of our tougher experiences because I got the impression that there was a little bit more of like drug use, drug abusing personalities. This woman in particular, who I don't remember her name. I don't think you remember her name either. We haven't seen her since then. She just gave off this feeling of being extremely vulnerable to everything. Like, as a woman who was homeless, I remember that once she sort of, her demeanor shifted toward us, she was still uncomfortable, and she shared like some personal details with us. I don't remember exactly what they were, whether if it had something to do with being raped or like something that happened in her past before she was homeless.
Something about kids, I think.
Yeah, maybe something with her children.
Yeah, I do remember she had children.
That was really heavy to just kind of unload on us. And I don't mean it like that we didn't want to hear it, but it just, the shift from being super suspicious of us to then sharing something extremely personal and difficult with us was just a lot to take in. And it really was a hard lesson for us to learn that it's not as simple as talking and having lunch.
Yeah.
You know, you have, like I said, we had some of the addicts who, they were happy to talk with us and they were happy to eat with us until you asked if they were comfortable saying anything on film, right? And then it's like I think a couple people actually ran away. You know, they just, like, the minute they saw the camera, they sprinted away. And then you have the woman that we're speaking about who she just had a lot of pain, and you could tell that it had been a long time since someone had genuinely just wanted to know about her and her pain.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot to carry around.
Yeah.
And it leads to mental health problems. Like, I'm not a professional, but I definitely got the impression that just like all those emotions she was carrying. Maybe if she wasn't predisposed to have a mental health condition, she definitely, her mental health wasn't strong at that moment.
And also I'm sure there's a lot more bad that she encounters in terms of people that she encounters. I'm sure there's a lot more bad people that encounter her or cross her path than there are good. So for us to just come one random day and expect her to be okay is asking a lot, because one encounter with her is not going to reverse a whole life of trauma or whatever she had gone through before. So it's understandable, but it was a great experience, because that was our toughest experience with TTL, and to have that be the bar that was set for us with TTL really helped us moving forward.
Yeah, I think we learned very quickly that if we were really going to spread this message of positivity and maybe ultimately start building some community with strangers that we didn't previously know, we were going to have to get to know. Yeah. Not just get to know individuals, but get to know the whole homeless community and the different kind of personalities that you find in that community. And they're not always easy to get to know.
Yeah, and how to approach people, and the camera was a big thing. I remember that experience taught me, like, don't be so quick with the camera, have a conversation, build that relationship, and then ask if they're okay, being on film. So it was a really big learning experience, and let's get into,
I think we should get a little bit into what we've learned through TTL in terms of these general personalities. We'll tie them to some specific individuals that we've met in some instances, but so what's kind of like the landscape of homeless personalities that we have met?
Well, the one that most people see in the streets are the drug addicts and the people with mental health issues. You see them everywhere. It doesn't matter what part of a homeless community you're in, they're most likely there.
And they also, there's definitely divisions among the homeless community, right? Like definitely. People that aren't drug abusers, or they don't, I wouldn't say they don't have mental health struggles, but that they are a little bit more at peace with themselves.
They don't want to be around it.
They can't be around it because it's a lot to bear. I mean, it's much harder to be around those kinds of personalities day in and day out when you compare it to just walking on the street, which is hard for people that aren't homeless to be around it, right? So when you're living on the street and you have to be around addicts and people that really need mental health assistance, it's just too much. And so you'll see divisions within the community between those groups of people in particular.
Then we also have like our the people that are trying to make money for just to live, for the necessities, like your panhandlers. You have people that want to work and they do like side work for small businesses, whether it be like helping set up tents for markets or helping at the shelter, cleaning stalls, or working the food bank or the clothing stores. Or
we've met couples where one of the partnership has a disability and they can't work anymore, and they also need assistance. So the other partner can't really work a full-time job because they don't have the means to do that. They don't have a home, so they resort to panhandling, and they're living out of cars or they're jumping around from shelter to shelter. So that's another. I remember the woman we met over on Battery. She had the dogs. I'm such a sucker for when they have dogs. There's another woman that I've run into a few times. Gosh, I'm forgetting her name. I feel so bad for this, but I've run into her up in North Beach and on Market Street. She has this cute pit bull and it always has a sweater on. She is in and out of shelters, and she's a regular panhandler because she just needs that extra money to make sure that she can eat, and if she can't get into a shelter, that she can get a bed in an SRO.
And then you have the panhandlers on BART, the women that bring their babies on BART.
Right.
and they just walk up and down the train asking for change.
Right, which is, I think, a really complicated part of this conversation, because it's unclear if they are homeless. Sometimes their signs say that they are homeless, and you can choose to believe them, you can choose not to believe them. I don't think Lorenzo and I have personally tried to engage with them, because it's just, we are uncomfortable, I think, is the quickest way to say that. It makes it's just a little uncomfortable for us to see that, to have the children there in a way that doesn't really feel, to me, it does not feel genuine.
Yeah.
That you would bring a child.
And we don't want to judge, because these are, it can't be easy.
Exactly. Absolutely. It cannot be easy. If you are homeless, I mean, what are you going to do with your child if your child's too young to go to school? I mean, the kid would have to be with you. So I think those are personalities we haven't really interacted directly with.
And there's more. There's people with learning disabilities. There
are people who've fallen on hard times. They were laid off, or some sort of tragedy occurred, and they were already living paycheck to paycheck, and two bad things happen, and all of a sudden they're on the street. And you meet a lot of people that move, right? They're not even from the Bay Area. They come out here looking for some opportunity to change their luck.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories that we don't take into consideration when we see homeless people. Mm-hmm. We kind of assume that they're just lazy, and there are some that are just lazy. Yeah, and they have no excuse.
Yeah, there's one guy whose name I don't remember his name. I'm not great with names. I have to speak with you many times to really get the name. But there's one guy that when we hand out sandwiches, we go around sharing lunch, he doesn't even get up. Like he's just lying down, and like
just put his arm out.
He'll be like, oh, can you come over here and hand it to me? And I was just like, okay, it's just lying in the middle of the Embarcadero, and then he'll eat a sandwich. He's like, thank you so much, and you're like, all right, whatever.
But there's a lot of stories that we don't consider. There was a story about a man that lost his mom, and then his fiance was his support system, because he was drinking and he was very depressed, and then he lost his fiance to brain cancer, which put him in a downward spiral and landed him homeless. And situations like that we don't always consider when we encounter homeless people. So it's just good to be mindful of the possibilities, or not judge right off the bat somebody's situation.
Right. In spite of how hard it can be sometimes, right? Like, we're all individuals, and we're entitled to feel safe and comfortable when we feel safe and comfortable. But sometimes some of that aggression or the discomfort that you're feeling is because the homeless person you're interacting with is carrying a lot of heavy emotions that they haven't been able to process, because in some cases they don't feel like anyone acknowledges that they exist, or that they can talk to anyone, right? So rounding up some of the general personalities,
I think
the men versus women, right? How much harder it is for women to be homeless than it is for men.
I've heard stories from some women on the street that say they don't want to go into shelters because the women get raped, because they're outnumbered in the shelters, and a man will take them into the restroom and just rape them. So one woman specifically, she said, I don't go to shelters because I know a woman that happened to.
Right.
So. And
a woman I just spoke about, who has the pit bull with the sweater, she tells me that she sneaks her dog into the shelter because she's not comfortable sleeping in shelters alone. She has to have her dog with her. We also met a man who had a girlfriend. They were both homeless. I'm pretty sure you posted him on your Instagram, on the Loyal Kinfolk Instagram. He was formerly a construction worker, and he was out, had come up to the Bay Area because he knew that the Bay Area is friendlier to the homeless community, hoping to get back on his feet. But in the meantime, he had this girlfriend, and he told us, I kind of look after her because people take advantage of her.
Yeah,
I've seen people take it. Remember, we were sitting down in the grass eating with him. It was fried chicken. I remember that much. And he's like, I've seen people take advantage of her. So it's, I look after her. And you could tell that maybe he was attracted to her.
Yeah.
And even that relationship
was kind of questionable.
It's like, is that even a fair relationship? But in speaking with him, I mean, he spoke with us for a good like 20 minutes. Genuine guy, a nice guy. But you just really felt for that woman. And she was sitting next to him kind of, it seemed like she was either exhausted or she was in some kind of like drug situation. I just remember he just made sure that we left food for her. He's like, yeah, she's going to want to eat. When she wakes up, she'll want some food. And from what we saw, it was respectful. But that's not a complete assessment of the situation by any means.
So to continue on the personalities, I wanted to say how to approach people is important because based on different personalities, you approach people differently. And that's something we've also had to learn through TTL is reading people's body language, reading people's...
They're just their energy, you know?
reading people's energy and just figuring out the best way to approach them because we don't want to come off as people that are trying to take advantage of them or make them feel like they're animals in a zoo or something.
Right. Yeah, there's this idea of, I don't think many people like feeling like they're getting charity, even if they need the charity, right? If they want the charity, they still don't want to feel that way. And then with Zoe and I, clearly, you know, we're coming from work. It doesn't appear that we're homeless. I'm not saying that it's obvious that we're not homeless. We could be. We've met, what was his name? Ernest? Well, not Ernest. The guy that used to work with Yvonne. Edmund. He told us when he got out of prison, he lived in his car. He was homeless.
He was living in his car at the time when we were talking.
Yeah, so he's living in his car. He has a job, you know, works 5 days a week, and he would just hustle and get to a shower at the gym every day. And you would not think that he was homeless, right? At all. So when I say it's clear that Lorenzo and I have a job, right? We have a job. We could be homeless, but we're not homeless. And when we speak to people that we meet during TTL, we tell them that. So we don't want to create this disparity between the interaction where, oh, we're not homeless and oh, you're homeless. And we're these non-homeless people coming out into the homeless community trying to know what it's like, the whole idea of making them feel like they're in a zoo or they're in a museum, they're on display. And this, I think, is a good transition to this question of, you know, we have on our notes this question that does everyone want to be helped, right? When you think of homeless, you know, those of us who aren't homeless assume that people that are homeless want to be helped. But is that true? And we talked about the charity complex and that not everyone wants charity. Some do, some don't. But let's get into a little bit more of this idea of, does everyone want to be helped? Is everyone that's homeless that we've met want to stop being homeless?
I think it's easy to say no, but you also got to understand why the answer is no. There's some people that...
Say who? Let's see.
Let's say... I would say our friend Ty.
Okay, yeah.
And then there was another man that I met early on when we first started doing TTO. I forgot his name, but he was talking about, I don't want to conform to the lifestyle that society wants us to live. So he was talking about, I don't want to have to have a 9 to 5. I don't want to have to pay taxes, and he was basically saying, I just want to live my life the way I want to live life. And if I have to conform in order to be happy, I'd rather just be homeless.
Right. Yeah. And you get, that's, what's really powerful about that perspective is that when you meet younger homeless people, or sometimes they say they're drifters or they're traveling, right? They're nomads. They share that nonconformist perspective. And I think, well, you're young, you know, right now this is kind of fun. It's exciting. You have a lot of energy. You're moving around. But when we meet people like Ty and this person that you met a while back, they're older and they still have that personality and that perspective. And you see how hard it is for them to live this life. It just resonates a lot stronger because this is really about their fundamental values, and them saying, you know, Ty is just a wealth of knowledge. He knows so much about politics in the city. He understands so much about homelessness and how homelessness became what it is today. He's so critical of the efforts that the city is putting forward to solve homelessness, that I don't always agree with, but when you really get down to his core values, it's just some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
About,
he's a spiritual guy too.
Yeah, he's I feel so lucky to get to spend time with him, and like, he doesn't always share his thoughts in a deep way, but when he does, and he did it recently, he did it a few days ago, where he got straight to the core. And my instinct is, you know, if someone has a problem, I want to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And so Ty and I started talking, and we'll have to do this for another episode because this is a really powerful conversation in general. But we started talking about some of his problems, and he just cut right down to it. And the core of his message was, this isn't the kind of life I want to live. You know, we could do all of these things. We could solve the problem the way you've presented. The problem needs to be solved. But that solution is a problem to me. The fact that I need to do all of these things to stop being homeless is problematic to me, and I don't want to live that way. I'd rather be doing this. So yeah, I think everyone wants help. We all want help, but we've had to learn what help means.
Yeah, there's a spectrum.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Lorenzo and I were watching this video of a homeless man who, he was homeless, and he was very appreciative of being able to have found a bed to sleep in a shelter. And his quote was that the shelter was helping him get plugged back into society. And I think we need to have a serious conversation, all of us, in whatever capacity we have, about what society means, you know, and the fact that if we're all individuals, not everyone's going to agree on what that is. So I think what we try to do in TTL is, you know, we want to spread positivity and we want to build community. And I think I've learned that we can be part of the same community even if we don't agree on everything. You know, you just meet people with that human connection first, and then everything else will follow. Yeah. And we promise in future episodes, we're going to tell you more about Ty. We'll tell you more about a lot of the other friends that we've made down at the Embarcadero. But that was our little spiel on that. So
just to piggyback on, I guess, Ty's perspective a little bit, I think a lot of us have this perception that happiness and success means a lot of money and having a home, being able to afford things. And that's not always the case. Majority of the time, I don't think it's the case. I think that true happiness isn't having the funds to buy stuff or having the nicest house. You know, I think really it just comes from appreciation and giving back to others. And I think it's really love, because that's really what we're doing, is out of the kindness of our hearts, is we love our community and we're doing whatever we can to try to help it out. So I only said that because we were listening to a song I made where I said, we think that we're winning because we can afford things. And I said that in the song. I said that in the song because I really believe it. Like, a lot of us think, I have more money than this person, I'm more successful than that person. No. And I think, just to piggyback on Ty, I think that's his mindset and perception. Not exclusively, but that's something that he believes in, is that, you know, just like I mentioned in my story, that I would rather be homeless than have to conform to this lifestyle that's going to make me unhappy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So all of this soul searching, I mean, for you and me, TTL has been a means of really understanding our own perspectives better. With every person we've met and every experience we've had, we're reframing our expectations of the whole experience. It started off with, the story that we told you at the beginning, the McDonald's story. And we used that experience to just sort of be our guide. It opened us up to the homeless community at large and really just challenged us. Like, if you really want to do this, not only is it going to be hard work, but you're going to have to change your expectations and be open to new ones. So that's I think that's just some good background on why TTL's message and mission is really community building and positivity. The talking and the lunch is a bonus. If you want lunch, that's great. If you only want lunch and you don't want to talk, do you. If you see us next week and maybe you want to talk but you don't want to eat, you don't like the food, or you want to do all three of those things, even better. But we're just trying to, we've narrowed our focus to the community at the Embarcadero because you need that continuity to really build relationships and build trust and move past some of the vulnerabilities we first encountered with the woman at McDonald's. Like we said, though, we never really ran into the woman at McDonald's again, but we've had vulnerabilities among the Embarcadero community from Ty. There's also, so let's give a little foreshadow into our future episodes.
I think Ty is a good one. Yvonne,
who's not homeless, but she's definitely a leader of the community down there. She works for Urban Alchemy, cleaning the public, they're not public restrooms, they have another name.
Pit Stop,
there we go. So there's Ty, Yvonne.
I wish we did Edmund before he left. Yeah,
Edmund was a really powerful person, but he now lives in Arizona.
There's Karma Bear. Marty. Jason, who you haven't met, but I see Jason all the time.
Okay. The guy that lays down on the sidewalk and never gets up for us. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm not kidding. Lee. Oh, Lee's a great guy.
I talk to Lee almost every time we're out there.
Yeah, Lee is a great guy. Is he Dwight? Dwight's another friend that we've made.
Carl, who works with Yvonne.
And then there's the guy who sells T-shirts. He has his stall there that Martin helps him set up, who helped Dwight. But I don't remember his name. He's very sweet. He's someone who, I remember, we'll tell you his name on the next episode, but I remember when we first met him, we had, food, and he was just like, I was like, oh, did you want some food? He's like, no, I'm okay. Kind of like, I don't need the charity kind of thing. And now we go out there, he's like, yeah, I'll take the food. But we've gotten to know him, and,
because it's not about, like I said, we're not, oh, they're homeless, let's give them food. It's like, these are our people.
Yeah.
So, and they know that because of the continuity, like you said.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people. There's also people in Oakland that I know.
Yes.
So
next few episodes, as requested from all the feedback, big request was, y'all want to hear names, you want to hear personalities, you want the characters, and for everyone that's willing to be a part of the podcast, we're going to include them. We gave you a little preview of the names, the community out there, and that's what we're going to work on for the next few episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the end of our second episode of the Loyal Kinfolk podcast. But check us out on Instagram, Loyal Kinfolk 2. That's our Instagram page. I'll put it in the link down below. So check that out so you can see some of the people that we're highlighting and see some of their views and whatnot. If you'd like to help us with our expenses, donate at our GoFundMe link. I'll put that somewhere here or in the description. It's going to be somewhere. But yeah, we appreciate your support and we thank you for listening. And
we'll see you on the next one.
That's how she closes it out.
You were supposed to throw the beanie.
First of all, I'm supposed to be wearing the beanie.
All right, throw it. All right.
That's it. See you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Oh, I missed. Damn it.
No, but you got it. You could just cut it right as it was going at it, and then just put a black screen. Hey, good job.
Cuts, studying ways to cut. I ain't gonna change for none. I'm still waking up. Oh, you faking, huh? But that's the world we in.